We are in Naples. We are at the 11th edition of the Med Dialogue, and we are in our third days. And I just had the pleasure to have a session with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Palestine, and we have the pleasure now to have the opportunity to exchange a few comments after our session. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, and thank you for hosting me.
We are a few days after Sharm el-Sheikh. The dawn for Donald Trump. Immediately after, someone talked of sunset because something was not working properly. How can Sharm change the future for the Palestinian people?
We should take this as an opportunity that will lead to something bigger. We need to build on this opportunity. We need to air out the vagueness and the lack of clarity in some of the steps, but that is all doable if the intent is really to sustain a ceasefire and bring something more in terms of peace for Israel-Palestine and the region at large.
We had the step one a few months ago as well. Not the entire hostages, but a large number of them. Now we are still at step one. Why this time should we have reason to be optimistic to be able to move from 1 to 2 and 3 and 4?
Because there is intent and there is intervention from higher authorities, and there is endorsement from the Arab and Islamic world. And enough is enough in terms of aggression and atrocities that are committed that need to stop. So the time is ripe. We wish it could have been done earlier to spare lives. But today we have an opportunity. What will move us forward is to start acting with the actual structure on the ground, with the measures on the ground, with the timeline that is needed, who's who in this whole setup, and move forward. Today, both sides said that they will commit to the stage one and the ceasefire. But we know that in the past couple of days, Palestinians were killed on a daily basis.
Also by other Palestinians.
By other Palestinians and Israelis, of course. That's why if no measures are set very quickly on the ground, these problems may continue. But at any rate, 20 hostages were released, and it's good they are home with their families. About 2,000 Palestinian prisoners have been released, and we hope that the rest, we've had over 10,000 Palestinian detained in Israeli detention camps, and these also need to be released to go home to their parents. And many of them are in detention without any cases. They are on what is called the administrative detention. But that stage is over with. Today, the Israelis need to get the remains of the 19. I think they got remains of some 9 hostages, but they need the rest. But if you look at Gaza today, Gaza is totally destroyed. And it might, I don't know the terrain to be able to say, but it might need some time to find where these remains are. And I know if the intent is there.
But this goes against quickness. You mentioned everyone here in the last 2 days was positive on step one, but also worried that if everything is slow, there is no a quick move, everything could be jeopardized. And so, but this looking for remain or not delivering remain is something which is slowing out the process, isn't it?
That's why I said you need to find measures on the ground now. I mean, you need to have teams that might help Hamas to look for the remains. I'm sure you would need equipment to do that. You would need to dig underground.
This looks like an incredibly difficult search.
Yes, but
in this distraction, looking for a few bodies, the
It is,
remain of few.
yes.
By the way, it's very sad to talk about these
Yes.
things, but the entire
Yes.
situation is very sad. But then let me move. Imagine this moves quickly. So remains are found. The Israel retreats and humanitarian aid enters. Then to move on, to move towards a governance, different governance. There is a need of disarming, of having Hamas disarmed. And there is a little bit of confusion, as we mentioned in the panel previously. Hamas, in the plan, Hamas should disarm itself. Hamas may be unwilling to do so. Trump said, if Hamas does not, we will. But Trump also said, I'm not sending American soldiers, so it will be, any task will be on Egypt, Turkey, the Emirates, and I feel it would be quite difficult for these soldiers to disarm Hamas and to appear to the population and their own population at home as instrument of Israel. So this is another big issue, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big issue, and we don't want any field confrontation on the disarmament, because Hamas said it will disarm, and we need to find means by sitting around the table to see how this disarming will proceed. We need to ask why Hamas is stalling, and we need to look at measures that will expedite the process. And it is the responsibility of all those who have chaperoned the peace deal to move on that track.
But if the remains are found, if Israel retreats, if food and assistance arrives, if Hamas is disarmed, then we move to governance, a new governance, and reconstruction.
Yes.
But also there is a big issue, because the plan and Israel are saying that to have any role into the future governments, the authority should reform. Which is something always good. To reform means change, but it's quite vague, and it looks for the authority have been quite difficult, because we have been talking about reform in the last 20 years. So, are you willing to reform? Are you willing to do which reform and when?
It's not about we're willing. We are willing. We're actually doing development and reform initiatives, and we have been for some time, not because Israel wants it or the international community wants it or has imposed it as a condition on us, because we really want it. And we know that everybody talks about curriculum reform and reform in the pay for martyrs. And both have been, we're actually working on them. Curriculum will be moved in terms of taking the UNESCO as a standard. And this is a process, and it has already started. And on the pay modality, this also has been tackled. And today we have a modality in place that is based on a social welfare system based on needs. And it is open for audit, and anyone from anywhere in the globe can go and assess that process, and it attests to the measures taken by the Palestinians. So both have been worked in. On the curriculum issue, the most important thing is, and I believe in it, that the change in curriculum doesn't mean much if nothing on the ground changes. What needs to change is end of the occupation, so that people can start socializing in a narrative of peace and not see the destruction around them and the violations of their rights left and right on 24-hour basis.
In the previous session, you mentioned that, and also now, that the role of other Arab states has been crucial, and that the relationship between the Palestinian Authority with Arab states have improved a lot, and their support have improved a lot, increased a lot. But at the same time, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel yesterday mentioned that, the Arab states, yes, they support, but none left the Abraham Agreement since the entire war started. So they are, yes, supportive, but they had they could have done something, abandoned the Abraham Agreement. They didn't, and they, compared with a few years ago, they accepted what Israel did in a more relaxed way than in the past. So how can you put together these two narratives?
I'm surprised because did the foreign minister of Israel really want them to leave the Abraham Accords? What benefit would that do? I mean, maybe it would have sent a very strong message to the Palestinians that, we're taking this additional step. But didn't he look at Saudi Arabia's input on the materialization of the two states and saying very clearly that he will not move on the Abraham Accords unless there is a concrete move on the political track?
And this is something important for
Yes,
you.
that is something crucial. It's something crucial because Saudi Arabia is a very weighty country and it has put all of its weight alongside France to take us to the New York Declaration. And a lot has happened since then, and they're very clear today, yesterday, and tomorrow that they will not move on the Abraham Accord track until we move on the political track.
Italy did not recognize. What, I know you can't share everything, but what did you tell the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs?
Very simply, you need to recognize because you say you are with international law. You comply with international law. You want international law to be applied equally wherever. You take measures in other parts of the world when there is violation of international law. We have seen violations of international law in Palestine for decades, more so in the last 2 years. This is the time. This is the time. You have signed the New York Declaration, and the New York Declaration clearly says that this will take us to the materialization of the independent state of Palestine. So this is the time, do it.
Minister, thank you very much for being here in Naples, and thank for your availability for this interview.
You're welcome. Thank you.